Welcome back. It's a Sunday evening here and it is absolutely gorgeous. It is a fantastic evening. The light is catching everything in a very spectacular way. And it must be because it's the end of Game of Thrones tonight. I am of course staying up until 2 o'clock in the morning to watch it, because why wouldn't I do it for the finale, you know? I've done it for every other episode, why stop now? But in the meantime, I'm actually doing a bit of rehearsing. I've got a gig this week, it's the first one I've had in a few months, but I'm really excited to get out there and do it again. So I've got all my equipment out, set up, like I did just before Christmas, and I'm prepping in a pretty similar way. The only difference is I don't have a horrendous cold to contend with. Instead, I've got the start of the hay fever season. And I know that a lot of you will know exactly what that is like. And as a singer, it does have a bit of an impact on me. But thankfully, I've got some really good hay fever medication, so I'm doing my best to keep it at bay. So yeah, I'm just going over the set list, try not to think about the fact that tonight is the last ever episode of Game of Thrones. And then very shortly, I'm going to go to bed and set my alarm for the early hours of the morning. Or am I going to do that, actually? 12:30. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to set my alarm and watch the penultimate episode again. So really, I ought to be napping fairly soon. But yeah, exciting times. So I've thought about it, and I'm not actually going to go to sleep. Normally I would, but because it's the last episode, I'm actually going to watch a selection of my favourite episodes from the entire series, in honour of it ending. So I'm going to watch Hard Home, I'm going to watch The Mountain and the Viper. I'm definitely not going to watch The Reigns of Castamere. That is not one of my favourites, I can tell you that straight away. Actually, those two are probably enough to get me through at this stage, looking at the time. So let's do that. So I've just finished watching The Mountain and the Viper, and yeah, I'm just making myself a cup of tea, trying not to think about the events of that episode too much. Wow. I feel like me and Game of Thrones have been through a lot, actually. Almost too much. But yeah, anyway, this cup of tea will make everything okay again, and then it's on to Hard Home. Right, we're here. We are now officially in the last ad break before Game of Thrones. You ready? No. Let's do this. And now my watch has ended. And I can't believe that it actually has. It's very strange. I think I always get like this when I finished a series that I really love. I remember feeling like this when I finished Breaking Bad. I remember feeling like this when I finished Parks and Rec. There's just something about it. It will always have a place in my life, but it's like a door is closed. And of course I can rewatch it, and there's tremendous rewatch value in a lot of these things, particularly things like Lord of the Rings. I genuinely do watch that quite a lot still, and it doesn't make the end of that any less traumatic. And it's not necessarily about that with this. It's not always about like a significant event in a final episode. It is just about that world closing. And it just goes to show how immersive these worlds can be, and how great writing can really take you somewhere else for a while. And I can tell you that I don't feel like I'm actually here at the moment. I still feel like I'm in Westeros, kind of taking that world. And soon I'll return to planet Earth, obviously, and all the work that I have to do and all the normal things. But I'll be a little richer for it, for that experience of being in that fantasy world for a little while. Bit of escapism. It's in moments like this that you realise how writing is capable of doing so many great things. And it makes me want to write something like it. It makes me want to write something that is that immersive. Something that takes people away from day-to-day existence for a little while. But in the meantime, I've just got to land softly back on the earth. As you might have guessed, today is gig day. And yeah, I'm actually a little bit nervous. I've not played at Dreambakes before, but as it's one of my favourite places in the entire world, I think I'm going to really enjoy it. But I always get nervous before a show, I always do. Going back to even when I first started to today, it just feels exactly the same every single time. And obviously I've got to set up as well and make sure everything's working. But yeah, it should be a fantastic night. Okay, so it's confession time. I didn't actually pick up the camera when I was at the gig at all. I left a little bit later than I should have done, and I was stuck in traffic getting into Doncaster, and it was actually really hard to park, so I ended up with about 20 minutes to set up, and it was a bit of a nightmare. So getting the camera out was not a huge priority in that scenario. But it was fantastic. It was great to celebrate Dreambakes' first birthday, and I was so pleased that they asked me to do it. It was honestly fantastic to play. It was a lovely evening. It was very sunny, and obviously opening out onto Priory Walk and stuff like that, seeing people walk past. It was just great, a fantastic gig. And obviously when we got back, we had our normal tradition of getting a Domino's pizza and stuff like that. And I was massively triggered by the fact that it had a Game of Thrones thing on it, and I'd managed to get through most of the day without thinking about the finale in some way. And then naturally the letters appear and suddenly it all comes flooding back to me. So I can't really escape it at the moment. But I did resist the urge to play the Reigns of Castamere at the gig, because obviously that would have been incredibly sinister. But it also wouldn't have been the first time that I've done that. And it's quite funny to see people turn their heads. And obviously I've managed to get all the gear back into the house, which most musicians will know is the most frustrating part of this. Being your own roadie is just so tiring. Like I've said before, when you're doing gigs on your own, you get to choose your own repertoire, but it also means that you have to carry all your own equipment in. But it's exercise in a way, isn't it? So that's a more positive way of looking at it. But yeah, it was a fantastic gig. It's just back to a normal day of work now. I really wish I could do that every evening. That would be great. So today I'm actually doing some mixing, and it feels like I've actually not done any mixing in a long time, and there's a good reason for it. I'm working on some material that's part of the project that I was keeping secret from you last week, and again, I'm not going to tell you too much more about it, but in the next couple of weeks, big announcement coming, and I can't wait to share it with you. But what I'm working on now with the mixing is to do with that, and I promise you in a couple of weeks' time it will all make sense. But I don't want to give too much away, and that's all I'm going to say about it today. But just know that something is coming, and I haven't forgotten about it, and you should be excited, and I can't wait to tell you all about it. But yeah, I think it's actually the first time I've mixed something on the vlog since the last song from A Song in 7 Days. So yes, this is still a thing that I do, even though I might not show it in the vlog all the time. So it's time for another late night ice cream run. When was the last time we did this? Now, in fact, when was the vlog that was entitled The Late Night Ice Cream Run, right? I cannot remember the date.
I literally have no idea.
Could you guess the month?
Well, probably like a year ago.
I think it was... Well, October was Seb's wedding. I think it's like November. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna pick a day in November. I'm gonna go for November the 16th.
Why on earth do we want ice cream then, though?
Well, you sent me out for that then as well. That was your doing. You were just like sorting out.
But am I okay? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I guess the most important question is, what ice cream are you gonna go for?
I like to go for the
Unbelievable! Beautiful sky!
No, make up what we just seen.
Spaceship!
A spaceship!
Oh, it's so annoying that I can't film that.
Well, you can, you're just not.
I'm driving, I can't do it now, can I? Wow. Just know that the orange glow that might be making it into shot is coming from the sky. So what ice cream flavour are you going to go for then?
Flavour, did you want? Flavour.
Oh yeah, vanilla.
Vanilla. Leave a comment down below, guys, what your favourite ice cream flavour is.
Yeah. Welcome back. It is a wonderful day here in Doncaster.
Yeah.
It is 30 degrees and I am cooking. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I can smell the sun cream on you actually.
Yeah, I've got a lot of sun cream on. It's not really helping. But yeah, we're heading to Dreambakes to do a bit of writing, believe it or not.
We are.
To work on a script for something. So, exciting times. But yeah, it really is a lovely day. Blue sky. In fact, look. Look, told you. So it's almost been a week since I watched the last episode of Game of Thrones, and I've just about stopped thinking about it. But I haven't stopped thinking about the power of telling stories and creating those worlds. And obviously Lizzie and I were working on something this afternoon, but actually that was redrafting something that I've written before. And more than ever, I've got this urge to create something new, to create an entire world. And I don't quite know what I'm going to do yet, but I want to create something that's just as immersive as the world of Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings and all these great things that have come before. And I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to do it. But don't get me wrong, I love creating little stories. I see my songs as little stories, and I'm sure I've made this analogy before, but songs to me should be like Swiss watches. They should be exquisite in their detail. At first glance you think, yeah, I really like this, but if you look closer, you'll see the detail and you'll see the craftsmanship. And that's how I think about my writing. It doesn't matter if it's a 3-minute song or a 3-hour-long musical. I always try my best to put that attention to detail in. But there's something about those fantasy worlds that's so immersive that really pulls you in. Because, you know, the entire week I've been thinking about it. Like, I've only really just grounded myself in reality again. And it is a beautiful day, and it's a great day to be back in reality. But it affects you, and a part of it stays with you. And I really want to write something that has that effect. So I guess I've just got to wait for the right idea. But in the meantime, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next week.